pathos, and local stuff we cover in Com 100. And you know that internet activity might be a really cool thing to do for Tumblr on presidential persuasion. That would be awesome. You don't have to, but you could. Topol, I mean, there's all this cool stuff in here, the 5 canons, blah, 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 blah. So I'll let you read all that type of stuff. So I am skipping some of the stuff. UT. Quick Trip, the best convenience store in the world. Get iced tea. Unsweetened iced tea. We don't drink sweet tea in Oklahoma. We're too Midwestern for that. Okay, I saw the sun. Semiotics is concerning with how things concerns with how things. By the way, I do like, if you go back to the table 2.1, I like the way that they focus, or they talk about, here's all the various theories we're going to cover in this particular chapter, and here's sort of the focus. So Aristotle and then the canons of rhetoric focus on message generation and the source, blah, 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 blah. Semiotic and a lot of the social sciences stuff, social scientific stuff, focuses on the sciencey stuff, focuses on audience reception and effects. But this is one that focuses mainly on meaning. Meaning. How do things mean? What do they mean? Yeah, but how do they mean? So semiotics is very, very important, and that's why I'm covering it. And I think it's essential, really, for us to understand how persuasion works, because we have to, in order to understand how persuasion works, we have to understand how things mean. Not what, but how, even though that's stuff. So semiotics, very, very important. How things mean, how they come to mean. And a sign generally, just as a definition, a sign is something that refers to something it is not, right? So when I write the word pen, that's a sign. It refers to this. This is not this. That's a sign. It's a sign. But note that sometimes there's no correct meaning. That is, there, folks like Richards and all these folks that I'll let you read about. Oftentimes we're interested in so-called proper, correct meaning. There is no proper or correct meaning. I mean, there is. There's codes. But everything is sort of messy in our post-modern, post-industrial culture, and so. So we're not concerned with correct meaning here. We're just concerned, generally speaking, with meaning and how that meaning might impact folks and their actions and all sorts of different things. Oh. Okay. So yeah, read the book. Signals versus symbols. Basically, this idea that they go through and they talk about blah, 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 all these different types of. Well, I'll get to the most important stuff for the different types of signs, but they do have the idea that sign, symbol, and words oftentimes are used interchangeably, but they say that signals are more natural signs and symbols are more arbitrary signs. And so, for instance, this is probably a really bad example. That's my drawing of a tree. And so it looks like a tree. So that's more of a signal. It's more natural. So sometimes visuals can be more natural. Words, symbols, there's no reason in the freaking world that these marks that we take for pen is going to refer to this. Or I make it an I, it refers to something else. There's no natural. It's just, that's why there's different languages, different strokes for different folks. Donde está el baño? So I don't know if that's terribly important, but yeah, there you go. Okay, 3 ways to be mean. Mean. Basics of semiotics theory that everybody needs to know. Iconic signs, indexical signs, and symbolic signs. Iconic means something resembles something else. The example that the book uses is these onomatopoeias: boom, splat, drip, 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 meow. Drip doesn't sound like drip, splat, but in any case, are examples of words that sound like what they mean. A photograph can also be iconic because it resembles what it represents. Yeah. A picture of me resembles me. This video is iconic. So I have some examples here, you know, putting horns on Hillary Clinton makes her look like the devil. Putting a little Hitler mustache on Trump makes him look like Hitler. That would be sort of cool. Indexical meaning, cause or association. When you see smoke, you know there's a fire someplace. If you see smell, rain, you probably think there's rain someplace. But in any case, it gets much more complicated than that, because in our contemporary society, like for instance, a Muslim-sounding name or a Middle Eastern-sounding name, to some people automatically it's associated with terrorism. It's terrible, but that's how we, you know, there's so much stuff going on there. Pierce, who was one of the main sort of semiotics, says, got people suggest thinking of an index finger pointing at another object as an aid to remembering the concept of indexical meaning. See, that looks like the devil. See, that looks like Hitler. See, that looks like something else. Okay. Symbolic meaning. I want to see the sign. I saw the sign. Ace to base. Ace to base. Boy, the Gamecocks couldn't find the bases, could they? Nor the aces. Okay, so symbolic meaning. All these sort of blur into one another for me. I don't care. But signification only because it has been agreed upon. So that's sort of the code stuff. So there's nothing really natural about it. Or so like words themselves are symbolic. Again, as I said, there's no reason in the world that these markings here should mean anything at all. I mean, we could do this. If everybody agreed that that meant pen, then it would mean pin. So I have examples of flags, right? You know, they're just fabric. There's no reason in the world that this should necessarily mean this, but we have decided that it means this, and through history, blah, blah, blah. And then, of course, the codes, as I just sort of mentioned, correlations between words and the objects they represent, a system of conventions that enable one to detect meanings and signs. So it's like we were going through life with a code book. There's no reason in the world. If I flip somebody off, that's why gestures are so tricky, because certain gestures mean certain things in different cultures. Everybody in our culture is going to know the code and the code book and to be able to read that. But if I just came here from Mars, I had no idea what that means. So, okay. One of my favorite jokes, since I'm from Oklahoma, is they talk a little bit about, where is it? Where are they talking about Nebraska? They talked about, the Nebraska flag. But do you know where the N stands on the Nebraska as a football helmet? Knowledge. But in any case, so oftentimes we do have code confusion because different people have different meanings of a certain word, or have several meanings, or the signs are sort of screwed up. So oftentimes, and meaning is always, we're always contesting meaning. Meaning is never settled, you know, so. And they give this really good example, I think, about Birkenstocks and how things have changed. And I'll let you read about Jacques Derrida. This is bugging me. It's 3 o'clock and I already need a beer. Just because this thing, sign in. I saw the sign in. Yes. I'll let you read that stuff, but words cannot represent reality, blah, 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 blah. Birkenstock sandals used to be worn by granola types. Even that granola is a code. Signs can be ambiguous, blah, blah, blah. Codes are not easy to use. The media bring us a greater number and variety of signs. Confusion, blah, 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 blah. Here's the key. Page 47. We have seen. That's the paragraph right in the middle. Signs represent some object and they acquire meaning through the individuals who use them. Signs mean different things to different people because of differences in context and culture. Okay. It is this openness of meaning that allows signs to have different degrees of persuasive power. Some signs have stronger meanings associated with them than do others. Persuaders carefully choose their words to have the maximum effect on their audience. If there were no question about words' meaning, persuaders would not have to study how words should be used. Okay. So, but iconic, indexical, symbolic, carefully choose words, visuals, all sorts of different things in the process of trying to persuade other people. Okay. Make America Great Again. I don't know if you can see this. I found this online this morning. What does this mean? That's semiotics would help us sort of explain this as theory. How does this mean? We see a picture of Donald Trump. He's got a Hitler-style mustache. On the bottom, the only words here, besides where it came from, internetweekly.org, is Heil Trumpler, like Heil Hitler. It's got a Nazi uniform on with a swastika. So, iconically, this means what? Trump is Hitler. Why? Because Trump here resembles Hitler with a mustache, the uniform, the words. So iconically, he resembles Hitler. So that contributes to the meaning of this. What about this idea of indexical associations? Well, we also associate Hitler with evil and all the things that Hitler did. Therefore, the meaning here, Trump is like Hitler. And we think in terms of some of the things that Trump might have said about Muslims or Mexicans or whatever. So, again, I'm not trying to be political here. I'm just saying, semiotically, how might this mean? So everything that's associated, in a sense, with Hitler might be associated with Trump here in this particular visual. And then we have the symbolic, more ambiguous, which is pretty interesting. There's no reason in the world that this little mustache should refer to Hitler. Really. It was popular, but now anytime we want to sort of demonize somebody, particularly males, but even females, what do folks do if they want to create a visual? Put a little mustache on there. Automatically Hitler. Look at that, swastika. There is no, swastika used to be a peace symbol back in, I think it's what, Buddhism or Hinduism? I don't know ism. But since the Nazis started using it, it automatically represents, in a way, in a symbolic way, evil. There's no reason in the world why that should mean that. It could mean something completely different. That could be a language. That itself could refer to pen, if we had decided, taken a code and decided that is pen, and that was the convention. So basically, we're thinking in terms of how does this mean, and semiotics sort of helps us to consider theoretically how we look at something like this and how it becomes meaningful and potentially persuasive, right? Because if we go back to this idea